And yeah, it's been kind of a hectic couple weeks for me. Today we're actually going to be talking about the winners of the 36th Annual Golden Raspberry Awards, aka Razzies, while I play some GTA 5. Now I was going to play Injustice again, but I thought, a little something different for you guys to enjoy. I really wish it was raining here in California. But anyway, um, so the Razzies. I was gonna also talk about the Oscars. I was actually gonna talk about the Oscars, but then again, like I said on the forum, yeah, I did not really watch any good. I mean, not good films. I mean, I did obviously watch some great films this year. There's Inside Out, Star Wars, The Force Unleashed, stuff like that. I've watched stuff, some really good stuff this year, but for the most part, I actually had to deal with a lot of crap this year. I focused more on the Razzie aspect of of the year, and I should be a little bit more balanced. I should see both good and some good stuff and some bad stuff too. I mean, I want to be as equal as I possibly can, but it's actually kind of hard to do that when it comes, whether it be for budgetary reasons or just for the fact that, there are some things I'm just not interested in, whatever. But you don't want to hear about that. You want to hear about the Razzie winners and how we kind of made history. Well, not really, but, it's been a while since we actually had a tie. Yes, we actually had a tie for Worst Picture of the Year. It went to both Fantastic Four, when I would say Fantastic Four, I've been calling it this, the most boring superhero film ever made. And you might think, oh, what about Batman and Robin? What about Catwoman? At least those two movies that I've always cited as the worst superhero movies of all time, those, at the very least, are interesting. You can actually talk about how terrible they are. With Fantastic Four, there's nothing to it. You can probably talk about the behind-the-scenes thing and about how Josh Trank was a dick on set, probably how the studio got in the way. Whichever side you're on, you can, I guess, talk about that. But when it comes to the movie itself, no. It's like an impending car wreck, like you're about to see right now. Or not. I think I missed it. But I think I am gonna tip over. Yes. Anyway, yeah, so I went to Fantastic Four and 50 Shades of Grey. Yeah, 50 Shades of Grey. Actually, if you had to compare the two, I would still say 50 Shades of Grey was the worst movie of the year. But, maybe later. But I mean, like, getting back to what I was saying, 50 Shades of Grey, I think, was actually the worst of the two, because it's a bigger issue. But I'll get to that later. I'm gonna just discuss the winners altogether. 50 Shades of Grey managed to win 5 Razzies. Fantastic Four won 3. Worst Picture, obviously, Worst Remake, and Worst Director for Josh Trank. And also, 50 Shades won Worst Actor for Jamie Dornan, Worst Actress for Dakota Johnson, Worst Screen Combo for the pair, Worst and Worst Screenplay, and of course Worst Picture. And also, I'm gonna go one by one and basically say what I voted for. So when it came to okay, I'm gonna start from smallest to the smallest categories to the big ones. When it comes to Worst Supporting Actor, that was obvious. Eddie Redmayne, everyone was gonna vote for him. No problem. Everyone's been talking about how in Jupiter Ascending, Eddie Redmayne was just all over the place. He was almost spectacular to watch, but it was so bad. Like, it was so terrible. It was just all over the place. I create life. Go! Those line reads were just amazing, and yet so in a bad way. Is there anything else I wanted to say? Oh yeah, Worst Supporting Actress. That was kind of a surprise for me. I was kind of caught in between who I was going to vote for when it came to Worst Supporting Actress, because everyone knows on the ballot of the category for Worst Supporting Actress was actually kind of weak this year. And, what was I gonna... Insight. I don't think Ben was as terrible I mean, it was a bad movie, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't by any means the disaster and the failure that everyone said it was. It was definitely... It didn't have a lot of focus. It focused way too much on the whole prophecy thing, which, if you ever know anything about Peter Pan, it is nothing about prophecy. But when it came to Rooney Mara's performance, yeah, I really do think she was miscast. She was definitely out of place, not just on the race basis, but more on the fact that she just seemed so wrong for it. She seemed so wrong for the role of Tiger Lily in more ways than one. Yeah, there's obviously the diversity issue and the fact that she's not Native American, but it came more down to the fact that her line reads were just not that great, and it almost seemed like she was in a completely different movie at times. Alright, let's just carjack someone for fun. Been driving around for too long trying to find something to do. Anyway, what else? Oh, worst screen combo. I did vote for Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson for obvious reasons. First of all, it was claimed that those two actually did not get along on set, and it so shows. They have no chemistry whatsoever. Granted, their characters are horribly written and all that, but man, they had no chemistry together at all. Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson. So yeah, that was kind of a, obvious choice there. Worst director, believe it or not, I actually voted for the Wachowskis for Jupiter Ascending. And the reason why I did that is because it almost seemed like the Wachowskis were sort of in over their heads, not just when it comes to the budget of the film, but also of what to do and how it just seemed like there was no focus, there was no real vision there. Okay, there was vision, but it just was misplaced. There was not a lot of... Again, I think focus was the main problem with Jupiter Ascending. It just didn't seem like there was a lot of... It just didn't seem like it was a complete vision. There you go, a complete vision. I understand why people say that, why they actually voted for Josh Trank. I actually kind of felt sorry for him at first, because supposedly Fox... I think, yeah, Fox was the ones who came in and messed up with his movie, but then there was also reports of him, like I said, being a total asshole on set. Supposedly he came to the set drunk and all that. He didn't really talk to the actors, didn't really do any of that. So I kind of understand it there now, and I don't feel as sorry for him if that is true. As for all I know, it could be alleged, and I'm not even sure if the whole being an asshole thing was actual honesty or if there's any validity there, but yeah, I kind of understand that. Worst screenplay, obviously I voted for 50 Shades of Grey. No problem whatsoever. The thing was that I actually came close. If it weren't for the Wachowskis, I probably would have voted worst director for Sam Taylor Johnson, but then when I looked more into it and I saw that, Sam Taylor Johnson really wanted to make something good out of the shit that is 50 Shades of Grey, and she had a completely different vision for it, but E.L. James, the author of the 50 Shades of Grey book, kept getting in the way, and that's why, and I think I even mentioned this in my last gameplay vlog, about how it felt like 50 Shades of Grey was two different movies fighting with each other, and that's what it did feel like that. So yeah, I voted worst screenplay because the dialogue that these people speak, it is just hilarious at times. It's disturbing. It can be a very disturbing film because apparently E.L. James and the screenwriter have no idea how S&M works. I'm not personally into the whole S&M thing, but I understand how someone in the S&M community would hate that movie because it doesn't represent S&M at all. It's not they're and okay, and again, I'm gonna get more into that as I go on. Okay, am I missing anything? Oh, worst remake, ripoff, or sequel. Obviously, I voted for Fantastic Four. That when you can say, and a lot of people have been saying this, and rightfully so, when you can call the first two Fantastic Four films with Jessica Alba and whoever else was in it, when you can call those movies good, and they are not good, they are still terrible movies, but at least they had fun with the characters. At least they experimented with their powers and things like that. In this new Fantastic Four with Michael B. Jordan, Kate Mara, they just didn't do anything. The whole plot was them work or whatever it's called. And like I said in my review, when you add government issues like that into a movie, or even to a TV show like they did with Buffy the Vampire Slayer in the 4th season, it's not interesting. It's boring. It's ridiculous. It's just not enthralling at all. And whosever idea it was, whether it be the studio or Josh Trank, whoever's idea that was awful. And yeah, it was just, Anyway, the biggest categories. Worst actor, I obviously voted for Jamie Dornan for worst actor. I actually did say in my review that he's probably the worst actor in that entire film. Because, again, he's almost like, he's just not there. It's almost like with it's sort of like with Rooney Mara in Pan, except I think Rooney Mara actually gave a little bit more effort than Jamie Dornan did in that respect. When it comes down to worst actress, believe it or not, I voted for Jennifer Lopez. Yes, I did. Jennifer Lopez and The Boy Next Door. I really thought, even though I did vote for Jennifer Lopez, I highly doubted that she would win. I doubted that she would win for so many reasons. Simply because not a lot of people had actually seen The Boy Next Door, not a lot of people had seen that. And I knew it was also going to be between Dakota Johnson and Mila Kunis. It was going to be one of those two. I didn't vote for Dakota Johnson because, believe it or not, she's actually the best part, and I don't really use the word best in a good way. I mean, I guess she's the only good thing about 50 Shades of Grey, I guess, because she's the only one who actually pulls off her lines without, sounding not completely ridiculous. I think the choices she makes is what totally sinks the Anastasia character. But Dakota Johnson is the only one who seemed like she was trying in that entire film. When it comes to that choice, it's almost kind of like with the Sandra Bullock thing when she went All About Steve. I'm just like, I'm not really sure if Dakota Johnson really deserves it. I mean, I'm kind of still sort of undecided about that choice in particular, but still, I think she was in 50 Shades of Grey, so give it to her. She I guess her big mistake was actually being in 50 Shades of Grey. Now, when it comes to worst picture, I did vote for 50 Shades of Grey. Obviously, they didn't give you a second choice. I was actually sort of surprised with, a truck. A money truck. Anyway, I was sort of surprised that Fantastic Four actually managed to tie with, Oh, shit. I swear to God, I didn't know what happened there. Anyway, I was sort of surprised. Sorry, I kind of get caught up in the game here. I am sort of surprised that Fantastic Four even made it when it came to actually tying with 50 Shades, because it was, as much as I like to say it's the worst superhero film of pretty much all time, it's probably actually, the more I think about it, it's more tied with Catwoman, because I still really hate that movie. If I ever had a worst, like the most hated movie list, like Roger Ebert does, Catwoman would be somewhere on that list. But Fantastic Four is very close to being number one for me. I honestly didn't think it was the worst movie of the year. As far as, if you take out, the whole thing, it just seems like it's a very boring film. With 50 Shades of Grey, the reason why I chose 50 Shades as worst picture of the year is that it kind of descends into a bigger problem than just people, pretty much anyone could write a book and anyone could, make really dumb literature, but it goes a little bit beyond that. This is not necessarily a Stephanie Meyer thing, even though I do think maybe that whole Twilight thing was a worse, how do I put this? A worse phenomenon. I don't think 50 Shades is by any means as big as Twilight was. But the big problem with 50 Shades of Grey that a lot of films, especially in the 90s, had was that filmmakers, critics, and audiences even have trouble discussing sex. For whatever reason, people in media, people in entertainment mostly, it can be in other forms of media like books and things like that, but for the most part, people are afraid to talk about sex. They act like it's just some disgusting or just unpleasant thing, when really in reality we should talk about sex more. It's a normal thing as long as it's between two consenting adults. We should talk about it more, whether it be in cinema or in anything else. Again, as long as it's between two consenting adults and all that stuff, and it's told appropriately, and I use appropriately sort of loosely because there's different ways you can talk about sex when it comes to cinema. We should talk about the whole sex thing more. But 50 Shades of Grey totally destroys that possibility because they make, like I said, S&M a very disgusting, possessive thing. When really in reality, S&M, I'm not exactly the smartest person to talk about this thing because, like I said, S&M is not necessarily my thing personally, but yeah, they totally made the whole S&M thing look like a possessive and slave owner relationship, which I know that's kind of where it stands for. Someone told me that S&M actually stands for slave and master, but it's not literal. Yeah, it's not a literal thing. In the actual 50 Shades of Grey movie, he acts like he owns her. He gets to tell her what to drink, what not to drink, what to eat, what not to eat, how to present herself, how to behave in public, all that stuff. And I'm just like, wow, you're totally just... Whoever, obviously E.L. James and whoever wrote the script for the movie, had no idea what they were talking about. They had no idea how S&M works. They had just... Or how human beings work, apparently. And how just utterly ridiculous it is. This is not an S&M relationship. It's not anything like that. It's a possessive relationship. It's an abusive relationship, and they try to mask it as some fantasy. And it's not a good kind of fantasy. It's an awful fantasy, written by someone who obviously has no idea what the fuck she's talking about. So that was my big beef with 50 Shades of Grey. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the other Worst Picture nominees. Like, Jupiter Ascending, to me, at the very least, Jupiter Ascending was entertaining in some way. I mean, like I said, I think in my gameplay, in my other gameplay vlog, I don't find it as fun as some other bad films that I've watched in the past. It's no Body of Evidence. It's no Showgirls. It's not even From Justin to Kelly. It's... Jupiter Ascending is, I guess, how Doug Walker described it, watching Valhalla fall, or something like that. What else? I forgot what the other two movies were. Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. The most unnecessary sequel, in the history... Well, not in the history, but of the year. I have yet to know anyone who is actually asking for a Paul Blart sequel other than Kevin James, who, aside from some other films he's been in with Adam Sandler, he has not had, like, his own movie for quite some time. I think he and possibly Happy Madison were asking for another Paul Blart film, I guess. Everybody else was just like, whatever. Because when you look at the first Paul Blart, it's okay. It's not exactly that funny, but it's not the worst of Happy Madison's, I've seen worse. A lot worse. from Happy Madison. But yeah, with the sequel though, yeah, it's pretty awful. It's absolutely awful. It's totally unfunny, and you might as well just call it Kevin James mugging the movie. Kevin James mugging the movie. Because that's all he does. He doesn't do anything really that funny, and it's very ridiculous. I'm gonna just carjack this car here real quick. And I'll fuck it. Oh, let's shoot this guy. Let's see. Anyway, Pixels! Yeah, Pixels. I think a lot of people see Pixels as the worst movie of the year because it was just very disappointing in what it could have been, and I don't want to repeat myself because I think I have said the same thing when it comes to my review of it. I think that was my last vlog, was my review of the movie. But for me, Pixels was not, again, it was not by any means the worst of Happy Madison's. I would still say something like Jack and Jill, That's My Boy, the Grown Ups movies, all those are still a whole lot worse. They are so much worse. So I think a lot of people just wanted Pixels to be the best gaming movie that we've had, because let's be honest here, video game movies are not that great. I know a lot of people say, oh, Resident Evil is great, and, you know, all that stuff. I'm like, I don't know about all that. I'm not really a big Resident Evil guy when it comes to gaming. I'm not even sure if I would even like the movie, or any of the sequels that Resident Evil has. So all in all, again, very surprised that 50 Shades of Grey and Fantastic Four tied. We haven't had a tie in years. I actually talked to John when briefly I talked to John when I was at the Razzies, and he told me that there hadn't been a tie, at least for Worst Picture, ever since The Adventures of Ford Fairlane and Ghosts Can't Do It, which was the Bo Derek film with Anthony Quinn. And Ford Fairlane was some Andrew Dice Clay movie, which I recently saw, Ford Fairlane, and I will actually talk about that more in my classic review of it. I'm going to be writing soon. I'm going to be posting it on the site. I'm not sure if I'll be writing it and posting it tonight or tomorrow. It'll be one of those, if not the day after tomorrow, I'll post it. Yeah, don't you guys just love my gameplay here? I could not find anything really to do on this game. But yeah, see, that's a nice view. It's nice. But anyway, yeah, Adventures of Ford Fairlane will be up soon. It will be great. I hope it, at least I hope it will be. The review, I mean, the movie is terrible. Spoiler alert: the movie is terrible. But yeah, overall, I agree highly with the tie. Even though, like I said, I would still say 50 Shades of Grey is a lot worse than Fantastic Four in this, like I said. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of how I react. That's kind of how I react whenever I think about 50 Shades. Anyway. Well, thank you guys again. I'll be posting this on the forum, the video on the forum, and I will also be writing and reviewing The Adventures of Ford Fairlane soon. Like I said, if not today or tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. Thank you so much, and have, okay, first of all, let me just get out of here. Thank you so much, guys. I hope to see you soon, and if you have any comments or any suggestions for my future videos, just leave a comment down below, or you can leave a comment on the Razzie forum. And yeah, I'll see you guys later.